JPL Flavours and ice cream manufacturer Mackey's of Scotland both announced senior appointments this week, covered in a roundup of progression. JPL Flavours has appointed former Synergy Flavours Chief Executive Steve Morgan to its board of directors with immediate effect. An industry veteran with more than 30 years of experience in food and drink, Morgan served as the head of Synergy Flavours until 2021, where he oversaw the business operations across the UK, Ireland, Italy, and Southeast Asia. His career with the fast-moving consumer goods sector has seen him hold senior positions in companies such as CPC Best Foods, Warner Lambert, and McCormick. He has also had 2 spells as chairman for the UK Flavour Association. Commenting on Morgan's appointment, Managing Director Jake Lavelle said, "Steve Morgan's experience in leading commercial and operational growth is an exciting addition to our board and represents another strategic move towards expanding our reach and effectiveness. This follows the recent £6 million investment in our new facility and significant additions to our team. I'm delighted Steve has agreed to join the JPL board and be part of our drive towards even greater success. In his new role, Steve Morgan will assist in guiding the JPL Flavours leadership team, providing strategic direction and support as the company pursues its mission to deliver an ambitious program of growth and investment." This week also saw ice cream maker Mackey's of Scotland strengthen its sales team in a bid to meet demand for its products in the UK and abroad. Will Dixon leads the trio of new hires as head of sales, joining the frozen dessert maker from craft brewer Northern Monk. Prior to this, he served in a number of senior sales roles across global spirits brand Pernod Ricard. "I've been following Mackey's progress over the past few years, and when I learned of the role, I leapt at the opportunity to be part of their next chapter of growth and success. I plan to blend what I've learned from my experience of sales strategy at both a global brand and a challenger brand in order to further improve Mackey's strength in its Scottish heartland while winning new listings and consumers south of the border." Mackey's has also appointed 2 new national account managers, Kirsten Blockley and Ian Thomas, former Weymouth Family Spirits head of UK sales, Fox's Burton's Company's national account manager, respectively. Stuart Common, Mackey's of Scotland's managing director, added, "Appointing Will to the head of sales role comes at a really important time for Mackey's as we reach more customers south of the border than we ever have while we strive to reach more. I'm confident that Will's clear focus on our company goals and the support he will find from Kirsten and Ian in our achieving them heralds the beginning of a very exciting period at Mackey's." Changes made to pig farming practices during the 20th century led to the spread of antibiotic-resistant salmonella around the world, new research suggests. An international study led by researchers at the University of Warwick provides evidence that the adoption of intensive farming practices over the last century enabled the spread of Salmonella enterica bacteria. Salmonella enterica is a type of bacteria responsible for millions of illnesses every year and can contaminate food, water, and food processing facilities. The bacteria is able to enter the food supply chain, with pork being a major source of infections. Meanwhile, the pathogen can jump from pigs to humans, causing severe and potentially fatal illnesses. Prior to the research, the impact of modern farming methods and global trade on the prevalence of antibiotics, resistant salmonella remained unclear, but a DNA analysis of 362,931 strains of bacteria led to the detection of 9 salmonella populations that are abundant in pigs. The scientists linked the expansion of the bacteria with 2 historical events in the 20th century. First, the development of intensive pig farming in the early 1900s, and second, the overuse of antibiotics after the 1960s. They added that Europe and the USA contributed the most to international transmissions of the bacteria. Our study has shown how the global trade of pork has played a key role in the evolution of salmonella, posing direct threats to food safety worldwide, said Professor Sasha Ott from Warwick Medical School. Honorary Research Fellow at the University of Warwick, Dr. Zemin Zhao, added, as the majority of salmonella genomes included were from the developed countries, with limited data from developing countries, especially those in South America and Africa, further research should look at these unstudied regions. This should improve knowledge of salmonella evolution and aid efforts to prevent illnesses caused by this pathogen. Meanwhile, Dr. Laura Baxter, Senior Bioinformatician at University of Warwick, warned that salmonella is not likely to be the only pathogen that has been reshaped by human agricultural practices. We should also investigate the evolution of other pathogens. Two Sisters Food Group owner Boparona Holdings has reported sales and operational profit growth in its financial results for the year ended 29th of July 2023, but exceptional items and net finance charges landed the group further into the red. Boparona Holdings saw turnover grow 10.1% to £3 billion, largely driven by underlying price increases due to inflation. A £6 million boost to operating profits at £43.8 million was achieved despite a substantial increase in inflation in the group's main cost components throughout the year. However, the group reported a loss after tax of £37.5 million, up from £33.3 million in the previous year. Boparand Holdings was hit with exceptional costs of £8.6 million associated with the closure of its Langley site last year, a total cost of £11.4 million, partly offset by the measurement of an onerous lease provision following successful negotiations with the landlord. Finance costs were also £13.5 million higher than last year, at £62.3 million, driven by the effect of higher interest rates on the group floating rate debt. This was further influenced by the full-year effect of new financing taken part-way through last year. Boparand Holdings Executive Chairman Richard Pennycook highlighted the challenges his business and indeed the rest of the industry faced over the past 3 years: COVID, Brexit, the escalation of the war in Ukraine, and the cost of living crisis. Similar to the rest of the industry, at times this has been extremely rough, but it's shown the resilience of the group, and it gives us confidence as a board that we can handle pretty much whatever comes our way. We're looking at a lot of opportunity in the business now that it's right-sized to think about investment for the future, capacity for growth, and most importantly, driving forward our new sustainability strategy, Better for All. If we enjoy a period of stability with less volatility, then we can see many opportunities ahead, and we're poised to take advantage of those. Poultry made up a majority of Boparand's sales at £2.44 billion, while its meal and bakery segment brought in £590 million. Poultry saw a boost thanks to an increase in demand for higher welfare birds in Europe, as well as a rebalanced supply and reduced fixed costs in the wake of the Langley site's closure. I'm incredibly proud of how the entire team has responded to the many challenges and our ability to handle all these headwinds. But of course, we also have to reflect on our resilience if we get hit by any other obstacles, and our track record of the last 3 years gives us that confidence. So the board views the future as one of opportunity to make further meaningful progress in delivering our strategic objectives, but also one where we are ready if there are continued bumps in the road. A 50-year-old man has been killed following an accident at a soft drinks production facility in Gloucestershire. Suntory Beverage and Food GB&I, which uses the site to make and bottle Lucozade and Ribena soft drinks, confirmed in a statement that the employee passed away in hospital on the 25th of April 2024, following a serious incident in the warehouse at its Colford manufacturing site on the 22nd of April. Carol Roberts, the Chief Operating Officer at Suntory Beverage and Food GB&I, said the firm was deeply saddened by the news. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Health and Safety Executive, HSE, noted, "We are aware of an incident at the Lucozade Ribena Suntory Ltd factory in Colford on the 22nd of April 2024. Sadly, a 50-year-old man has died as a result of the injuries he sustained. We will now lead an investigation into what happened alongside Gloucestershire Police. The man was airlifted to Southmead Hospital in Bristol following the incident, but died as a result of the injuries he sustained." Roberts said that Suntory Beverage and Food GB&I was in close communication with the family of the employee involved. "The whole business extends our sincere condolences at this extremely difficult time. We are cooperating fully with the ongoing investigation by the regulator. Given that it is very much a live investigation, it would not be appropriate to comment further. Our thoughts remain with the family of our colleague, and we would also ask that their privacy is respected at this time." The British spirits industry has exploded since the COVID-19 pandemic, with more than 300 distilleries now registered in the UK. In 2023, the number of registered distilleries in the UK grew to 387, up 42.7% compared with pre-COVID levels. According to national accountancy group UHY Hacker Young, this was up 8.7% from the 356 distilleries reported in 2022. Last year saw 48 new distilleries registered in the UK alone, up 20% from 2022, while Scotland, the home of the UK's biggest drinks export, Scotch whisky, saw 3 registrations last year, 8 in 2022. James Simmons, partner at UHY Hacker Young, commented, "The premium prices consumers are willing to pay for higher margin luxury brands is seeing both entrepreneurs and bigger spirits companies continue to rush to capitalise on the market. Spirits, including whisky, have been one of the UK's success stories. The expectation is that longer term there is much more growth to grow in the UK's heritage spirits brands. UK drinks exports increased by 13% in 2023, from 8.3 billion in 2021 to 2022 to 9.4 billion in 2022 to 2023, according to HMRC data. The export of spirits makes up a significant proportion of the total value, with whisky now accounting for more than a quarter of all UK food and drinks exports, £5.6 billion in 2023. Strong levels of demand are seeing new distillers continue to enter the market, while savvy entrepreneurs in the business are also taking advantage of additional revenue streams such as distillery tours and tastings. During the lockdowns of 2020 and 2021, people found themselves looking to recreate a bar experience at home and treat themselves to artisanal spirits. Interestingly, this taste for luxury has not tapered off, it's only gotten stronger. Pembrokeshire Creamery has signed a deal with discount retailer Lidl to supply its Welsh stores with milk produced and bottled in Wales, supported by its new £20 million bottling facility. From the 1st of June, Lidl's customers in Wales will be able to pick up fully Welsh milk, with cream products soon to follow. In a move that will reduce food miles prior to the deal, Welsh milk was bottled in England before being shipped back into Wales. The security of the contract has sparked investment with support from the Welsh Government into a £20 million bottling facility certified to supply supermarkets, the only one of its kind in the country. Construction of the 3,000 metre squared liquid bottling centre was announced in 2021 and has the capacity to bottle 60 million litres of milk in its initial 12 to 18 month phase. Pembrokeshire Creamery expects the facility to create 80 jobs for the local community. Mark McQuaid, Managing Director at Pembrokeshire Creamery, said, "We are very excited to have partnered with Lidl to supply their stores across Wales with milk from Welsh dairy cows that has been bottled right here in Wales. The partnership will deliver products from farm to shelf in a more efficient way, removing the need for Welsh milk to be sent to England for bottling before coming back to Wales." Pembrokeshire Creamery's products will join Lidl's existing range of Welsh produce, which includes bread, butter, yoghurt, eggs, lamb and beef. Lidl GB Chief Commercial Officer Richard Boons added, "Our partnership with Pembrokeshire Creamery is testament to our commitment to offer Welsh shoppers the very best in homegrown food and drink. At Lidl, we take pride in championing our local products, and this contract marks a significant milestone for the Welsh dairy sector, while also supporting the local economy in Pembrokeshire." Manchester-based Hill Biscuits is marking a National Biscuit Day with a series of community events. The biscuit manufacturer, which will celebrate its 170th year anniversary in 2025, hosted a school bake-off earlier this month, and on the day itself, the 29th of May 2024, will donate to care homes and hospices and host community events with the Portland Basin Museum and the National Trust. The bake-off at Loris Raycroft School in Droylsden, Manchester, enabled 30 hospitality and catering or food and nutrition students from Year 10 to compete using Hill's range of custard creams, gingerbread men and digestives. The students, who were supported by 3 Hill representatives, were judged on their baking skills, imagination and creativity with different flavours, followed by a career talk about future pathways into the food industry. The winner was awarded with a book donated by Christine Wallace, a quarter-finalist in the Great British Bake Off in 2013, and Hill donated vouchers to the winner and 2 runner-ups. On the day itself, Hill's staff will deliver thousands of biscuits to care homes, hospices and community radios, while biscuits will also be available for free at Portland Basin Museum. Finally, Hills has committed to support the National Trust by planting 1 tree for every 40,000 biscuits produced on National Biscuit Day, when 8 million are scheduled to be baked. Hills CEO Frank Bird commented, "As a nation, we consume the most biscuits in the world per capita. We want to celebrate the success of our industry with something really special that our community can also get involved in. What's more, we want to bring the joy of cuppa and a biscuit to everyone, and how better to help reintroduce staff room breaks too." On the school event, he added, "National Biscuit Day inspired us to encourage younger people to be as creative as they like in the kitchen, using our products in a fun baking competition. And who doesn't love the Great British Bake Off?" Kieran Ellis, curriculum lead of D&T at Loris Lorrycroft, said that the school was delighted to take part in the celebrations. "It's very exciting for us as a school, but particularly for our Year 10s, who are gearing up for their GCSEs next year. This was a challenge with a lot of fun thrown in, and our students were thrilled about it. It's a real treat working with Hill, who are local to us, and as their teacher, the icing on the cake was seeing them planning their recipes and using their imagination to create something really special." Extreme weather conditions could cut the UK's food self-sufficiency by up to 10%, according to new analysis by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, ECIU. The ECIU previously warned that the washout winter that had ravaged crops in the UK would lead to a price hike for food items such as bread, beer and biscuits. Waterlogged fields and resulting poor yields this winter will reduce UK's self-sufficiency across all farming sectors by 8% when measured by volume, the think tank estimated, down from an average of 86% between 2018 and 2022 to 78% this year. The UK could become dependent on imports for around a third of its wheat, with wheat self-sufficiency predicted to drop from 92% in the same period to just 68%. Compared to the average production between 2018 and 2022, and assuming an overall level of consumer demand equivalent to the average in the same period, the UK could see imports of wheat rise from 1.9 million tonnes to 4.8 million tonnes. Tom Lancaster, land analyst at ECIU, said in 2021 the government warned that climate change was the biggest medium to long-term threat to our food security. This analysis suggests that it is the biggest risk now and not at some far-off point in the future. The UK depends on foreign imports for the foods we cannot grow here, so if we are to try to sustain the supply we have at the minute, we simply can't grow everything we have now on British soil, so we'll also need to think about supporting farmers in other, often poorer and more climate-vulnerable countries. Although oats and barley will remain largely stable due to the higher anticipated areas of spring planting, self-sufficiency in oilseed rape is estimated to collapse to a historic low of 40%. Again assuming demand remains in line with that seen between 2018 and 2022. This is down from 75% between 2018 and 2022. ECIU's analysis did not include all crops that have suffered due to the wet weather, such as field vegetables, sugar beet and potato. As such, it is possible that an 8% reduction in top-line self-sufficiency is an underestimation. With its recent U-turns on climate policy, it's possible the government will try to downplay the threat climate change poses to our food security at the summit, but farmers consistently report the changing climate is one of, if not the greatest threat to their harvests. The only viable long-term plan for farming is getting to net zero emissions when we are no longer making the problem ever worse. European bakery business Baker & Baker has appointed a new CCO, whilst cereal and seed manufacturer Silvery Tweed announced a new technical manager. Baker & Baker has appointed Graham Williams as its new UK Chief Commercial Officer as Tim Ryan steps down. Williams joined Baker & Baker in 2019 and has played a key role in nurturing the European producers' retail relationships and driving growth across the in-store bakery category. The move comes as his predecessor, Tim Ryan, takes on early retirement, following more than 30 years at the business where he helped drive key UK accounts tenfold. A gradual transfer of responsibilities from Ryan and Williams has taken place on the last 12 months to help a smooth transition. Williams said he was humbled to take on the role. I'm honoured to have been given the opportunity to lead Baker & Baker's UK commercial team. We have a talented group of colleagues that strive to deliver for customers, and I'm looking forward to delivering on our plans over the coming years. Williams will join Baker & Baker's 6-strong senior leadership team led by CEO John Lindsay. Commenting on the appointment, Lindsay said, "His talent and commitment over the past 5 years have been evident to all, and that continuity will set us up for our next period of growth. Graham already possesses deep and positive relationships with our customers and has demonstrated his extensive leadership abilities in our commercial team during the transition period." Meanwhile, in fellow bakery company Silvery Tweed, which focuses on cereal innovation, a new technical lead has been appointed. With 16 years of experience in food and drink, including a stint at Silvery Tweed previously, Paul Trotter rejoins the company as its technical manager. Trotter expressed his excitement to be back with the company, saying he's keen to focus on people. "I'm particularly passionate about promoting a culture of continuous learning and development, which will ultimately lead to a more robust assurance of both quality and food safety." The business's head of technical, Martin Drury, added, "We are thrilled to welcome Paul back to the Silvery Tweed cereals team. Paul's proven track record in technical systems development and his dedication to continuous improvement will be invaluable assets as we strive to exceed our customers' expectations. I feel confident that with the addition of Paul, the technical team will play a central role in the company's continued success and commitment to delivering exceptional value to its customers." John Shepherd, co-founder of plant-based protein manufacturer Myco, discusses the firm's debut product range and the development of Hob, the basis of its meat alternatives, which is made using oyster mushrooms. In late 2019, Shepherd and his fellow Myco co-founder Julian Crossley were the toast of Philadelphia's mushroom scene, embarking on a whistle-stop tour of a city regarded as the fungi capital of the state to drum up backing for their fledgling business. We were meeting 4 customers each day and there was an incredible buzz around Myco. We were all ready to go, then the world stopped. As COVID struck, it forced the pair to pause the rollout, but now Myco is back and intent on making a difference. Equipped with millions in funding and one of the more unique food production sites in the UK, Myco recently launched its first ever range of products using Huber, a plant-based protein that has been in development for the past 8 years. Huber is manufactured under the same roof in Yorkshire as the oyster mushrooms from which it is made are grown. According to Shepherd, there's nowhere else like it in Britain. Every stage of production takes place under one roof, which means 0 food miles, and we even use AI to grow the mushrooms. The pandemic was a real kick in the teeth for everyone, including ourselves. However, it allowed us to take stock of how we could best fulfill our goal of creating a plant-based protein that can generally help the planet. We've used the time to our advantage to improve our manufacturing process, and in terms of innovation and sustainability, I think what we've done at Myco could prove to be the gold standard in this industry. The Lemming Bar unit where Myco is based at a 20,000 square foot production site nestled in the shadow of the A1. Inside, thousands of oyster mushrooms are grown at once in a vertical farm, where fungi grown in just a few cubic meters can produce huge yields. The production unit was selected largely due to its proximity to the A1, as it again lowers the food mileage involved in Huber's production. However, that isn't the only eco benefit, given sustainability is at the very essence of Myco's business model. Every decision we make in terms of Huber's production, or just as a business, is made with our planet in mind. Huber came about simply because we realised there was enormous wastage in mushrooms that are processed. Around half of the mushroom was chucked away, so we thought, why not turn that waste into a mince? With just 5 locally sourced ingredients and a sprinkle of seasoning, Huber was born, and it is a far more sustainable product than the likes of soya, which is imported from South America at an enormous cost to the environment and dramatically inflates that product's carbon footprint. Our approach is the complete opposite. Everything is locally sourced, and we ultimately want to become a carbon negative business. We have plans to eventually create a system on site where our excess mushroom waste will be converted into biomass, which will power Huber's production. Myco's burgers received great feedback during a recent sampling session held at its site, with 10,000 already produced in order to support the launch. And with Myco also manufacturing 20,000 sausages ahead of the summer barbecue season, the firm is entering phase 1 of what it hopes will eventually be a far bigger operation. With the production unit capable of accommodating 70 staff, however, it won't just be humans making Huber. One of the most innovative aspects of the site is our use of AI, as it ensures we have optimal growing conditions for our mushrooms. AI constantly monitors the growing conditions, like CO2 and temperature, whilst we have cameras in place that work alongside AI to tell us the perfect time to harvest them. We're even working on a self-harvesting system to give us a perfect yield time after time. The dawn of AI and Myco's willingness to embrace innovation is one benefit brought to by the delay caused by the pandemic. However, having initially formed in 2016, it also means that Myco have been able to treat the lengthy development of its range as a labour of love. Enormous effort has been put into not only developing a plant-based protein that tastes like meat but also has the same texture and mouthfeel, and according to Shepherd, that was crucial, given that was identified during development as a major stumbling block to Myco's mission to lower global meat consumption by creating a product that even the strictest of carnivores doesn't mind using. And with the initial product rollout now underway, the management team have already secured deals with wholesalers and suppliers to stock their sustainable range of bangers and burgers, while the hope is that the next funding round will allow Myco to further expand the vertical mushroom farm to full capacity. But with the planet at the heart of Myco's business model, while they still want the business to be successful, Shepherd admits the greatest legacy wouldn't necessarily be huge profits. I blame my generation for the crisis facing our planet, and now that I'm a grandfather, I want to do something good for them. The planet is getting a lot warmer, that's undeniable, but the good thing about Myco's model is that we have effectively created a flat-pack site that can be replicated anywhere on Earth. My hope is that our production site can become the blueprint for sustainable food production, and if that can help give this planet a future, then we know we've done our bit. White and Mackay workers at 3 distilleries are voting on strike action, G&B Scotland has announced. The ballot of G&B Scotland members working for White and Mackay and its Delmar, Invergordon and Northumberland distilleries opened on the 7th of May 2024 and is set to close on the 24th of May. G&B Scotland announced the ballot after a consultative vote and revealed widespread opposition among its members to a pay offer submitted by White and Mackay. The union said that offer of between £3 between 5 and 6%, is not close to matching inflation over the last year and represented an insult to workers. White & Mackay claims that the recently rejected offer included a 6.8% award plus improvements to several benefits. Concerns have also been raised about the installation of murals that cost hundreds of pounds at the Invergordon distillery. According to GMB Scotland, White & Mackay workers are now paid less than staff elsewhere in the industry. White & Mackay, which is owned by Philippine-based group Emperador, earned pre-tax profits for 2022 of £81.3 million. Leslie Ann McCaskill, GMB Scotland organiser in the Highlands, said that the company had failed to engage its employees in talks to address their concerns, and this has led to a vote being called. Our members in these 3 distilleries have shown great patience as they pay talks dragged on month after month, but their patience has a limit and that limit has been reached. The company is making record profits and its workers deserve to be recognised with a pay offer that fairly recognise their role in generating those profits. While White & Mackay celebrates great commercial success, our members are struggling to make ends meet while being paid less than whisky workers elsewhere. In the absence of an acceptable offer, it can be no surprise that our members are considering industrial action. In response, White & Mackay has issued the following statement. We have received formal notification from GMB of their intention to ballot their members at a number of our sites regarding potential industrial action. As a business, we continue to approach negotiations in a spirit of open dialogue, and we are naturally disappointed that while negotiations started in November 2023, we failed to reach agreement. The statement concluded, as a business, we firmly believe that our pay proposal is fair and competitive. Global F&B manufacturer Mars has announced plans to launch a new sustainable dairy initiative backed by a $47 million investment over 3 years. The financial backing forms part of the multinational's $1 billion commitment to reducing its impact on the environment as it seeks to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Dubbed Moving Dairy Forward, the plan is centred on a climate-first approach to dairy sourcing and aims to reduce the carbon footprint of dairy in line with its 2030 ambition to cut emissions by 50%. More than 200,000 cows and 1,000 farms supply dairy for Mars confectionery brands such as M&M's and Snickers. Dairy is the second largest contributor to the carbon footprint of Mars snacking, with raw ingredients accounting for over 70% of the organisation's total greenhouse gas emissions. As part of the initiative, Mars will work with leaders across the dairy sector to implement on-farm interventions related to areas such as enteric methane reduction, efficient manure management and sustainable feed production. Meanwhile, Mars has partnered with global dairy cooperative Friesland Campina to form the Mars Friesland Campina Sustainable Dairy Development Programme, a collaboration which will see a group of farms dedicated to Mars dairy supply. The programme will act as a platform for the new farming practices and technologies to be refined and scaled up prior to being rolled out across Friesland Campina's wider network. Chief Research and Development, Procurement and Sustainability Officer at Mars Snacking, Amanda Davies, has said that acting in the name of sustainability was a non-negotiable for the company. But our vision for more sustainable dairy will only ever become a reality with the support and actions of farmers and our suppliers, which is why, as part of our Moving Dairy Forward sustainability dairy plan, we're putting millions of dollars directly back into the pockets of farmers through our contracts to help them make climate-smart changes to the way they farm. Together, I know that we can forge a path that helps address climate change ahead on and contributes to reshaping our wider industry for a more sustainable future. The Pesticide Action Network analysed results from the UK government's residue testing programme and reported 10 different PFAS pesticides were detected in fruit and vegetables, but should you be concerned? The answer is no, not unduly, but you need to be aware of this issue and consider proactive monitoring. Perfluorochelated substances, PFAS, are a group of fluorinated compounds that have been widely used in industrial and consumer applications since the 1940s. They have oil and water repellent properties and were developed for use as surfactants and stain repellents. Their widespread use, together with their persistence in the environment, has led to widespread environmental contamination, as their stability and resistance to degradation result in almost indefinite environmental contamination, which leads to long-term continuous exposure to people and wildlife. There is worldwide concern over their impact. The European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, opinion on the risk to human health related to PFAS in food concluded that they can cause developmental effects and may have adverse effects on cholesterol, the liver, the immune system, and birth weight. The opinion established a tolerable weekly intake TWI for the sum of certain PFAS chemicals PFOS, PFOA, PFNA, and PFHXS. Following on from this opinion, it was shown that certain populations in Europe were consuming PFAS at a level above the TWI, and this led to maximum levels of PFOS, PFOA, PFNA, and PFHXS in eggs, fish, meat, crustaceans, bivalve mollusks, meat and offal of farmed and wild animals, being established by means of Regulation EU 2022-2388. These chemicals bioaccumulate in fish and animals, including humans. Attention then turned to PFAS in other foods such as fruit and vegetables. The EU has adopted Recommendation EU 2022/1431 on the monitoring of PFAS in food. This recommendation aims to gather occurrence data for a wide range of PFAS in foods to support a dietary exposure assessment and assess the need to regulate PFAS in other specific commodities. This recommendation has set indicative levels of PFAS in fruits, vegetables, milk, and baby food. Foods with levels of PFAS exceeding these indicative levels can still be sold, but investigations should be carried out when they are exceedances. If you are not currently monitoring PFAS levels in fruit and vegetables, you may wish to consider this at some point. These recommendations will likely be made into maximum level regulations. Understanding where your supply is currently will help inform focus to address and reduce these levels. Some of the reported worst offenders included grapes, cherries, spinach, tomatoes, and strawberries. If you like a good movie, then Dark Waters is worth a watch, based on the real-life story of a lawyer who took on DuPont after discovering that they were polluting drinking water with PFOA used in the manufacturing of Teflon. It certainly gives some context to the importance of monitoring PFAS. OSY Group has secured £750,000 from investors to support the rollout of its flagship technology that increases the shelf life of food across the UK and internationally. The funding boost will allow OSY to accelerate the commercialisation of Extend, an antimicrobial packaging coating that it claims can help a wide range of food types stay fresh and packed for longer. Manchester-based OSY will also be using the investment to expand its team, with plans to create a number of roles in the coming months. This latest round of investment followed a £250,000 equity fundraising last year and an award from Innovate UK through its Better for All competition to support companies forging innovative ways to tackle nutrition challenges. Chief Executive Mark Bratterman said, "We aspire to lead the charge in global food waste reduction through innovative technology, as well as helping to drive down greenhouse gas emissions and food poverty, supporting groceries as they strive to achieve their sustainability targets, and enabling food products to tap into more export markets." The latest funding round is a major milestone as it will enable us to accelerate the commercialisation of Extend in the UK and internationally, while also focusing on growing our team. We are looking to create a number of roles in the coming months in line with our strategy. Extend is a water-based antimicrobial coating for packaging surfaces. It leaves microscopic pins on the packaging surfaces that puncture and kill microbes and slow the natural spoiling process that affects the fresh produce within. According to OSY, the coating is suitable for use on lidding film, plastic trays, flow wrap, fibre and board, flexible firm, paper, outer packaging and board and film combined for food-to-go applications. Testing has shown Extend can extend shelf life by multiple days. Allergen-free F&B manufacturer Voyage Foods has secured $52 million in a Series A+ funding round. Co-led by Level 1 Fund and Horizon Ventures, the raise also included notable food tech funds SOSV and Collaborative Fund. Voyage has now raised more than $94 million and is set to use this latest injection of money to expand its facilities and grow its team, while also meeting a greater than anticipated consumer and commercial demand for its products via B2B, food service and retail distribution channels. Cargill agreed to become the California-based firm's exclusive global B2B distributor for nut-free spreads and cacao-free chocolate in April 2024, and is currently rolling out its range across Europe. In addition to its range of nut and cacao-free vegan confectionery and spreads, Voyage also manufactures bean-free coffee that can be sold in a variety of formats, including cold brew, grounds, pods, and instant. Voyage Foods was born out of the desire to harness the power of food technology and activate industry-wide change, said Voyage CEO Adam Maxwell. "We're thrilled our innovations have been embraced within B2B and amongst a rapidly growing consumer base. As a mission-driven food company, it's especially fulfilling to work alongside investors that recognise and embrace our impact as we continue to move forward in further scaling manufacturing, expand distributing, and deliver time-tested favourite foods that are better for the planet and health. Meanwhile, a Level 1 fund founding partner James Stewart added Voyager's technology has set a new standard for commercialisation in the food tech space by producing replicas of essential food products and ingredients that are both extremely cost competitive against and more sustainable than incumbent products. As the only company in the world with the validated ability to make these replicas at scale, Voyager's newly announced partnership with Cargill makes these products available to the world's major food companies as an immediate solution to fluctuating commodity prices and supply chain disruptions. Sustainable protein sources could offer UK farmers a greater role in feeding the country sustainably, according to the Green Alliance. New analysis by the charity has revealed that the potential space created by the adoption of more sustainable protein sources would allow farmers in the UK to grow much more produce that is currently imported, increasing the UK's self-sufficiency by a third. The Green Alliance separates sustainable proteins into three broad categories: plant-based, often using soya and peas; fermented, using protein which is partly or wholly derived from the fermentation process; and cultivated or cell-based, derived from animal cells but grown in a lab. Currently, the UK depends on imports for 46% of its food supply, even though 73% of land in England alone is farmed. However, a widespread switch to sustainable proteins would provide farms with the space to adapt their businesses to restore nature and mitigate climate change, which in turn would enable the UK to meet its climate and biodiversity restoration targets. The Green Alliance argues that with the right policy support in place, the UK would find space to more than double coverage of semi-natural habitat and farm 39% of land organically by 2050. In particular, the charity has called for payments to be issued to farmers implementing these environmental services in order to offer them a reliable income source as part of a more diversified business model. Previous Green Alliance analysis has shown that the market for sustainable sources of protein could be worth £226 billion a year by 2035, while the UK industry alone could be worth £6.8 billion within the same time frame. Commenting on the analysis, senior policy analyst at Green Alliance's Lydia Collis said the government could turn our looming land crunch into an enormous land dividend, but it must seize the opportunity to support our sustainable proteins industry in the face of international competition. By relieving pressure on the UK's scarce land, sustainable proteins could increase the role of Britain's farmers in feeding the population and harmony with nature. Our analysis shows that with the right policy support, we'd use more land in the UK to grow food eaten here, as much as 64%, up from 47% today. Gareth Morgan, head of farming and land use policy at the Soil Association, added, "Ensuring that dietary patterns across Europe come into line with environmental limits is crucial, not least tackling the huge land use footprint of industrially reared meat with its huge dependence on imported feed. It is good to see this report pose the question of how this can be done." 2 years into its 3-year run, the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation has seen positive results from its clinical trial aiming to help desensitize children with food allergies using a technique known as oral immunotherapy. Initiated in 2022, the Natasha clinical trial has seen early evidence of some of its participants tolerating milk and peanuts, to which they were previously severely allergic. Children as young as 2 with food allergies are among the first partakers in the £2.5 million trial. Funded by a coalition of industry stakeholders and the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation. So far, 139 children aged between 2 and 23 years old with a food allergy to peanut or cow's milk have started treatment. The trial uses a process called oral immunotherapy, OIT, wherein everyday foods are given to the participants under strict medical supervision in microdoses. The idea behind it is that this will desensitize them to the ingredients they are allergic to, in this case peanuts and cow's milk. 9 NHS hospitals are taking part in the trial, and doctors say they are already seeing children on the trial who are able to consume and tolerate the very foods which previously would have triggered a severe allergic reaction. When Thomas Farmer, aged 11, joined the trial in Southampton in March 2023, he could not tolerate even half a peanut. By January 2024, he was eating 6 a day. "I wanted to do the study so I can help people with the same allergy as me and to be a positive role model to others who may be going through the same as me." His mother, Lauren, added that it was scary at first, as they didn't know what to expect, but the outcome has been encouraging. Knowing that Thomas can now tolerate 6 peanuts a day has taken away so much anxiety around food. It will also hopefully mean that he will be able to eat a wider variety of food, as we won't be so concerned about accidental exposure. Given further details around OIT as a treatment, co-chief investigator and reader in paediatric allergy and clinical immunology at Imperial College London, Dr. Paul Turner added, while introducing potential food allergens into a baby's diet in a safe way can prevent food allergies from developing in the first place, this doesn't always work and cannot help those who already have food allergies. We hope the study will show that using everyday foods under medical supervision can be a treatment for food allergies. If successful, the 3-year trial led by researchers at the University of Southampton, University Hospital Southampton and Imperial College London will provide the evidence for the treatment to be made available on the NHS. Offering this kind of treatment would unload a significant strain from the NHS, with food-related allergic reactions cost hospital admissions more than tripling in the last 20 years in the UK. Speaking with Nadim Laperouse, co-founder of the Natasha Foundation, and Natasha's father in an exclusive episode of Discussions, he explained the benefits food as medicine could bring. If you have millions of people with a major health problem, there's no way that the NHS can actually treat them because the cost is too high. He explained that the trial will demonstrate that food all along has been the medicine that has been overlooked and that cheaper alternatives to expensive pharmaceuticals are available. He added that if this proves to be a success and rolled out across the NHS, it could be really good news for the food industry too, with the potential to remove the current big issues around may contain labels and cross-contamination. The results are only early stage indicators, as Hassan Arshad, Professor of Allergy and Clinical Immunology at the University of Southampton and Chief Investigator of the trial, explained, but they are promising nonetheless. We must wait until the trials are complete for the full picture, but we are very pleased with the results we are seeing so far. Natasha's mother and co-founder of the charity, Tanya Ednan Laperouse, added that her daughter would have loved to have seen and been part of this research if she was still alive. We are so happy that some children with peanut allergies are already seeing the benefits of using everyday foods under medical supervision to treat their allergic disease. The government has announced several measures it will be taking following the publication of John Shropshire's independent review into labour shortages in the food supply chain. Among the support announced by the UK government is a sum of up to £50 million to fund new technology to help transition pack houses to fully automated systems. This will start with work on a group of major pack houses over the next 12 to 18 months, in an effort to identify where support is needed to make this university viable. Further details will be announced later this year to cover 2024 to 2025 and 2025 to 2026. An extension to the seasonal worker via route has also been granted, with an additional 5 years to give business more time to invest in automation and ease the shift from migrant labour. A total of 43,000 visas will be available to the horticultural sector in 2025, with another 2,000 visas for poultry. Further details of the number of visas available for 2026 to 2029 will be provided later in the year. The government has said it will also be working with technology companies to accelerate the development of robotic crop harvesters, aiming to bring up prototypes on a par with human pickers in 3 to 5 years. At the same time, the government will be collaborating with several other initiatives and departments to improve the appeal of food and drink careers among domestic workers. This includes work with the Food and Drink Sector Council's Sector Attractiveness Project Group and the Department for Work and Pensions to both showcase the diverse opportunities on offer and provide the skills needed for food and farming jobs. To this end, it has also provided seed funding to establish the Institute for Agriculture and Horticulture, TIAH, a new industry body that will support professional career development. Commenting, Environment Secretary Steve Barclay said, "We have a world-class food and drink sector, and the measures announced today will strengthen this by boosting funding for cutting-edge technology that will reduce reliance on migrant labour in the long term. Businesses do best when they can plan effectively for the future." Workers across 2 Morrisons distribution centres have voted in favour of strike action after pay negotiations broke down with the retailer. Almost 1,000 workers at the Cheshire and Wakefield warehouses will down tools for 6 days, from stock controllers, cooks, canteen staff and administrators. Unite members were balloted on strike action last month over new pension contribution requirements, which the union claimed would leave its members £500 worse off per year. It also called into question other changes introduced by the retailer, including the removal of a service award, the adoption of a new pick rates measure, the alterations to job rules, and a failure to correctly follow absence policies. Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham said Unite is focused on our members' jobs, pay and conditions, and these unmerited changes to workers' pensions will leave our members worse off every month. Unite will not stand for such behaviour from any employer. of the 1,000 Unite members that were involved with the ballot, with nearly 97% responding in favour of the strikes. The first of the 3-day strikes will begin on the 23rd of May, with the second starting on the 13th of June. Unite expected stores in North Wales and stores with smaller chilled goods warehousing capabilities to be impacted the most. National Officer Adrian Jones said, "Despite our best efforts over a number of meetings, it seems Morrisons are not interested in resolving this dispute, as they've refused to change their mind over the changes. Along with a number of other issues, we have attempted to get management to see sense and find a way forward." This week also saw the union announce more than 100 of its members employed by GXO Logistics will strike for 15 days in a dispute over pay. Warehouse workers and delivery drivers will take place in industrial action from Monday the 20th of May until Friday the 7th of June at the Feltham site in the London Borough of Hounslow. Unite said the strikes would threaten the transport of popular brands such as Costa Coffee and Whitbread, the owner of Premier Inn. Food manufacturer David Wood Baking, DWB, has received financing support from Interpath Advisory as it continues to recover from a fire at its Dudley bakery last year. Interpath advised the firm on raising bespoke term debt and revolving asset finance facilities from Barings and Lundy ABL. The new financing will help the business stabilise after its Dudley facility was destroyed by a fire in September 2023. The West Midlands Bakery was one of its 8 UK production sites and has led to the firm altering its operations across its other locations. Founded in 2008, DWB manufactures artisan breads, ready meals and sweet and savoury pastry products and supplies a range of UK products, supermarkets and high street food retailers. The right financing process was led by Interpath Managing Director Chris Hall and Tom Suez, the firm's head of food and drink in the UK. Commenting on the financing process, DWB Chair and CEO David Wood said, "Since the catastrophic fire at Dudley, we have been working tirelessly to preserve and recover our business. We've been genuinely humbled by the fantastic help, support and kindness given to us from all our employees, customers, suppliers and wider stakeholders of the business. The fantastic teamwork we have experienced from everyone involved has enabled us to make amazing progress in returning the business back to normality quickly. Our advisors at Interpath have guided us through this process as we sought solutions that would support us in our recovery and also enable us to look forward with confidence to continue with our growth ambitions." Meanwhile, Suez said that there is no greater destabilising event than a factory fire. The team at DWB's ability to stabilise production with customer needs protected alongside achieving this refinance is testament to a quality team and business. UK food and drink producers have faced significant volatility in recent years, but their resilience is testament to the incredible people behind them in the boardroom, in the back office and on factory floors. Calbee Group UK has announced plans to accelerate its growth investment plans after publishing its latest financial results. In the 12 months up to December 2023, the crisps and snacks manufacturer saw turnover increase by 16.6% and operating profit rise by 59.2%. Calbee owns brands including Seabrook Crisps, Loaded and Harvest Snaps, while it also manufactures Peppa Pig licensed snacking products. The announcement comes not long after the brand revealed it would be investing £12 million to expand its Bradford Crisps site, which followed a £3 million investment in its Deeside manufacturing facility in 2023. In response to growing demand for its ranges, Phase 2 of the Bradford expansion is being brought forward, while 2024 will also see the company's largest marketing spend and TV campaign to date. According to Kantar data, Calbee brands are now worth over £98 million in retail sales value and are growing in both value and volume, while Seabrook is now the UK's second largest crisp brand by volume. Commenting on the firm's latest results and recent fortunes, Group Managing Director for Calbee Daniel Woodwards said, "As we continue to invest in capacity and capability in an increasingly competitive market, we are pleased to see that our proposition clearly resonates. The business performance further strengthens our position as the number 1 crinkle cut crisp brand and the number 2 crisp brand in the UK by volume. We have much to celebrate as we explore new snacking formats and flavours and continue to support our master brand strategy for Seabrook. While we may not realise the full benefit of our investments until 2025, we are encouraged by confidence in our proposition and expanding portfolio of crisps and snacks. The response from shoppers wanting quality branded products that deliver everyday value continues to underpin and validate our investment plans." Brewdog has appointed James Arrow as its new chief executive, succeeding co-founder James Watt as part of the brewer's succession plan put in place last year. Watt steps down from the role 17 years after he co-founded the business, He will stay on the board in the role of captain and co-founder and remains a major shareholder. Commenting on the change in leadership, BrewDog chair Alan Leighton said, "James Watt spoke to me last year about continuing to play a role with the business while freeing up time to concentrate on his other projects and interests. We subsequently put in place a succession plan by recruiting James Arrow as our Chief Operating Officer and strengthening the wider senior leadership team." Arrow joined the brewer as Chief Operating Officer from Boots Opticians in September 2023, where he was Managing Director. Prior to his time with Boots, he spent a decade at Dixons Carphone in a number of senior roles across e-commerce, trading operations and sales and transformation. Last year also saw BrewDog appoint Chris Fielden as its first supply chain officer, in charge of all aspects of sourcing, production, packaging and distribution for the drinks, firms, beers and spirits. James Arrow is a proven leader, Leighton added. His 8 months as COO have given him a great insight into the business. The board is delighted to have him as CEO to lead the company into its next phase of growth. BrewDog employs 2,530 people across its head office, 4 breweries and more than 120 bars. Last month saw its Black Heart beer ranked as the UK's second most popular stout according to Nielsen data. James Watt said, "I want to thank all the incredible people who have helped Martin and me create this unique business. I've loved co-founding this amazing business and leading it for the last 17 years. I'm excited to take a bit of time off to travel to spend more time with my family and friends. I'm also looking forward to being able to dedicate some more time to my other business interests." Private limited company Shallan Group has acquired 100% of the share capital of the Manchester frozen food manufacturer for an undisclosed sum. The Glendale founders Paul Burkett and Mark Jones, who bought the company out 8 years ago, say this move represents a greater next chapter for the business, with Shallan Group set to support the business with both capital and sector expertise. Commenting, a director of the Shallan Group, Shafin Somji, said, "We saw Glendale as an excellent investment opportunity, being well placed in its markets with strong products, a strong team and an overall solid foundation on which to grow. We view Glendale as a strategic long-term purchase and therefore look forward to supporting the business with capital as well as our sector expertise given our frozen food operations in North America. We're excited for this next phase of Glendale's growth journey." The specialist frozen foods producer of Glendale Foods, the Great British Pudding Company and Yankee Snacks, as well as a private label supplier, will also see several leadership changes, including Somji taking on the role of executive chairman and Simon Whitaker as its new CEO. Sharing his thoughts, Whitaker added, "Glendale is a great company with great people and a strong base on which to establish the Shallan Group's UK food manufacturing presence. We see this as an ideal opportunity to invest further to leverage the core foundations already in place. With the current product development capability and availability capacity, we are excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. We're also very pleased that our NED non-executive director, Nigel Broadhurst, has agreed to continue working with Glendale through our next stage of strategic growth. Nigel has a distinguished career within the food industry." Moreover, as of the 17th of June 2024, Steve Wood will assume the position of Managing Director. He joins from an operations background with more than 30 years' experience across a range of food categories, which includes senior roles at Butcher's Pet Care and Pilgrims, among others. Burkett and Jones will remain with the business for the foreseeable future as executive founders. Following the repurposing of a German-based closed-down brewery, alternative protein manufacturer Nosh.bio has confirmed it will soon be capable of producing thousands of tons of mycelium protein each year. The German producer has said the first production run will take place in 4 to 5 months, with a new plant in Dresden having been set up to overcome previous scalability bottlenecks. Designs for fermentation and downstream equipment that can be used to create muscle-like structure in its biomass without the need for extrusion or additives have already been identified. The business is now in the process of validating the technology and tweaking it to achieve higher yields. Speaking with Alex Chorlson, head of business development, he said the focus right now is the German and EU expansion for the rest of 2024. Then the US before expanding into Asia and the rest of the world, including the UK. The success at the new German plant also comes at the same time as Nosh's life cycle analysis, LCA, results conducted by Climate Point. The LCA findings confirm that the business has managed a 90.7% reduction in CO2 emissions, currently 9.19 kilograms per kilogram of protein compared to 99.11 kilograms per kilogram of conventional beef. They also showed a reduction of 99.4% in land and water usage compared to a traditional beef and a 98.7% reduction in water usage compared to its meat counterpart. Felipe Lino, Nosh's co-founder and CTO, said the results demonstrate that food can be produced successfully whilst minimizing pollution and conserving vital resources. As our global population expands and environmental concerns escalate, prioritizing sustainability in food production is paramount. The company will also be looking to transition to renewable energy sources in the future, which it anticipates will lower its existing CO2 emissions by a further 80%. Nosh's CEO and co-founder Tim Fronsek added, as we begin batch production in the coming months, we look forward to incorporating the findings of the LCA into our future work. Workers at 3 White and Mackay distilleries have backed industrial action after opposing a pay offer. G&B Scotland said that more than 80% of members that voted were in favour of taking strike action, which looks set to impact the Dull and Invergordon distilleries in Easter Ross and the Tamna Vulin distillery in Speyside. The result of the formal ballot confirms the result of a previous consultative vote, which revealed strong opposition among members to a pay offer made by White and Mackay. In response, G&B Scotland described the offer as an insult and argued that the whisky maker's success has been built on the skill and commitment of workers. The offer of 6% to 7% does not match inflation over the last year and is effectively a pay cut. Leslie Ann McAskill, G&B Scotland organiser in the Highlands, said that nearly 82% of members voted across the 3 distilleries, backed industrial action in the ballot with a turnout of more than 80%. The union expects to serve formal notice of strike action to take place in June 2024, unless White and Mackay can provide a new offer that is acceptable to its members. McAskill said the support for industrial action at White and Mackay is overwhelming but unsurprising. Our members' work has driven the company to record-breaking profits, but has not been recognised or fairly rewarded in pay negotiations. White and Mackay is celebrating unprecedented commercial success, while our members continue to endure a cost of living crisis while being paid less than workers across the industry. The company should consider the results of this ballot and the clear determination of our members to take action in support of a fair way of being paid and improve its offer. If it does not, industrial action is now inevitable. In response, a spokesperson for White and Mackay said, "We have received formal notification from G&B of their intention to strike. We are disappointed that despite dialogue and a revised award of 6.8%, we have failed to reach agreement. As a business, we firmly believe that our pay proposal is fair and competitive. We believe that there is a route forward without the need for strike action, and we remain committed to work to achieve that through dialogue with G&B. In the event of strike taking place, we have plans in place to mitigate disruption and ensure continued business operation in order to minimise impact to our customers." Meanwhile, impending strikes by workers employed by Amcor Packaging in Workington has been suspended after improved pay offer was put forward. Industrial action scheduled for the 29th of May, 1st of June and 2nd of June have been suspended while the union members vote on the new offer. Audits can be a time-consuming and often confusing practice for food and drink firms, but can the process be simplified? Here are some actions that can be taken to help support those businesses. When faced with confusion and complication created by having to meet the requirements of so many standards, how can food and drink businesses navigate audits in their factories? Manufacturers are often presented with 2 choices when it comes to managing audits: either focus on each standard and audit them separately, or put them all together into one system. While the former is a much slower process, the level of organisation needed to be able to create a spreadsheet that covers every single audit your business needs to complete can make the latter a much more complicated one. It makes auditing a little bit easier because the auditors just do it once, but the actual spreadsheet management is the most complicated bit because the standards are always changing, explained Cassie Marsh, director at Technique K. Someone has to keep it up to date, and sites tend not to have enough time to be able to do the administration side of things. In her experience, manufacturers that have attempted to create a unified system for completing audits were often caught lacking when it came to keeping it up to date. It's from this observation that led to the creation of her own online platform, Audit App. Why so many audits? We do the spreadsheet once ourselves and then provide all that information back to the users so they can just pick which standards they want to work within. While the pressure is taken off the manufacturer, there is still a massive human element involved in the creation of these spreadsheets. Someone has to sift through all the requirements and standards, as well as parse the complicated language often used by them. This level of complexity is also beyond the scope of artificial intelligence. Until the day comes that a computer can interpret the language used and spit it back out in a way that manufacturers can act upon, it's people like Cassie that will be putting in the legwork. With this in mind, the question becomes, why are there so many audits? When overarching standards such as the BRC already exist, what need do we have for each retailer to impose their own separate set of rules and regulations? To put it simply, retailers often treat their standards as a unique selling point. While there is some overlap between each different specifiers, standards, many vary in ways that focus on very specific parts of the production process. For example, one retailer may require a much higher level of food safety compliance, whereas another may place more importance on the business's workplace culture. According to Marsh, it's a 20-80 split of similar and different standards. A future for collaboration. I think it would be great to get to a point where all standards cover the same things, but they, the retailers, would have to all collaborate. I don't think we'll ever get there. It would be great if we could, but it just can't see them ever speaking to each other with the good of the industry in mind. For me, this makes our system even more powerful in that we will be able to be the only ones that will have all these sections of the standard, and if sites apply all of it in principle, you've got all bases covered. In Marsh's eye, the solution would be for retailers to be able to see manufacturers' internal audit system prior to striking up a deal with them. By uploading pictures and video to a centralized platform, retailers could assess whether or not a manufacturer has already met these standards. This way, the manufacturer wouldn't have to carry out another time-consuming audit if their customer is already happy with what they see or requires just a small part of the audit to be carried out again to meet their specification. Tools to improve. Marsh also raised her grievances with the current system of audits for the BRC standard, specifically its policy of lumbering manufacturers with more audits if a non-conformance is found. Risk assessment is based on previous audit performance. A good auditor could come along and complete a really robust audit and find lots of non-conformances and fix them. However, this will flag the business for more audits. She believes a non-conformance shouldn't be viewed as a failing for the business, but rather as an opportunity for it to grow. It shows you're following the procedures, doing the right thing, finding the problem and rectifying it before it causes an issue. The current system of penalising a manufacturer with more time-consuming audits if a non-conformance is found can lead to a negative workplace culture where most people on sites are scared to raise them. In the long run, they know that it's going to cause them more work when in actual fact your internal audit system is your early warning system. It's your defence against anything going wrong in the future, and we should be scrutinising the internal audits and the application of those to make sure it's as detailed and as nitpicky as possible, so that it prevents problems down the road rather than doing it the other way around. Easing the burden. Independent food safety consultant Alec Kriakidis echoes Marsh's sentiments over the complexity of factory audits and the stress they can create for food and drink manufacturers. Unquestionably, it creates a burden for food manufacturers, but it also means that manufacturers have a wide base of customers. Therefore, in some cases, it's a good thing. You can't have one without the other. If you're going to take on different customers, then there'll be inevitably some differences in their fundamental requirements. The reality of third-party audits. As a veteran of the industry, Kriakidis has experienced the growth of third-party certification schemes and is qualified to comment on their influence on auditing in the food and drink manufacturing industry. While he recognises the potential of a unified system, he points out the reality that schemes such as BRC and GFSI led to. One of the fallacies at the time was that these voluntary third-party certification schemes would actually result in less technical visits to customers. What the specifiers wanted was someone to take care of the core entry-level requirements, and it would allow them to focus on added value parts of their standards. It's clear that an all-encompassing set of standards agreed upon by all specifiers isn't coming anytime soon. Manufacturers need to face facts and decide how best they can work to meet requirements for multiple sources if they wish to work with more than one customer. While this could be a daunting task for some businesses, Kriakidis puts forward a clear suggestion of how to make the process easier. One of the things you absolutely have to do is understand the requirements of all of your customers. A food business needs to generate their own processes and procedures, but it has to reflect the needs and requirements of their customers. Aligned with standards. Therefore, being completely aligned to these standards, knowing what they are and knowing that they're reflected in your processes and procedures is by far the best way of dealing with it, rather than putting out each manual each time another retailer comes to site. You need to make sure that they're embedded in your processes and procedures. Contemplating the future of food factory audits, he doesn't predict any major changes that manufacturers should be aware of. However, he highlights a shift in attitudes towards audits that should be observed. I don't envisage a massive change, but I do see a shift away from this one-dimensional view of the business, say for example a food safety lens. It doesn't give you the complete picture. I think it's widely recognised now that assessing a business across multi-dimensions is probably more valuable than focusing on one. The transition away from plastic packaging in consumer goods is moving too slowly despite pledges from across the food and drink industry to use environmentally friendly alternatives, according to a new study by Aquapack. The study, FMCG Flexible Packaging, Accelerating the Move from Plastic to Paper, found that a majority of FMCG brands, 92%, were planning to stop using plastic in their consumer packaging altogether, but this transition was moving too slowly. Less than a third of respondents expected to transition away from plastics in the next 3 years, at 27%, with most wanting the switch to alternative materials to take place more quickly at 87%. Just 11% said the switch was fast. Major barriers preventing manufacturers from committing to non-plastic packaging included the higher cost of environmentally friendly options, 53%, the availability of alternative materials at 50%, and ensuring the functionality and product protection remains the same at 46%. John Williams, Chief Technical Officer at Aquapack, said the study demonstrated manufacturers were cognizant of the need to move away from conventional plastics to move to more environmentally friendly materials, but confusion over the viability of new materials had caused delays in the use of genuine solutions. It is important that there is an acceleration in the use of materials which are available at scale, offer the required functionality, run down existing conversion lines, and have a viable end-of-life solution to the consumer. These solutions are available now and in the market, but only in low numbers. When asked about the key drivers that would help the FMCG sector speed up new material development and implementation, 70% of respondents believed that more ambitious recycling targets were key, 62% wanted to see increased investment in new materials, and 54% said greater collaboration to accelerate R&D was needed. Half said that an industry-wide commitment to move away from the conventional plastic waste was necessary, whilst a further 47% cited later environmental regulation through taxation of materials with poor environmental performance was important. Our research also suggests that the sector needs to be bolder in its commitment to new packaging materials. While 37% say they are more focused on switching to innovative, environmentally friendly materials, a quarter are developing existing materials and 38% are placing equal importance on both. Is this really embracing innovation and change, or sitting on the fence until regulation forces the industry's hand? New materials already exist and can facilitate the move from plastic to solutions which are functional, provide the product protection needed but do not harm the environment when they come to the end of their useful life. Food brand MJ's Diner has launched a new range of frozen ready meals developed specifically for the air fryer. Available in Farm Foods, Poundland and 300 independent retailers across the UK, MJ Diners is also planning to launch with Home Bargains, Morrisons and Sainsbury's. The range of takeaway-style meal options was created after figures revealed that air fryer sales were up 1,175% year-on-year during 2023, with more than 12.5 million UK households now owning an air fryer. Priced between £1.99 to £2.49 per pack, and including products such as salt and pepper chicken and battered fish fillets, the range has seen earlier success with independent retailers. According to MJ's Diner, rates of sale are up to 500% greater than those of the leading brands, 7 or 8 times more than the best-selling products such as Bisto. To meet growing demand, MJ's Diner has expanded its operation and created 50 new job opportunities in Birkenhead, while also ramping up production to 350,000 meals per week. The business is owned by industry veteran Noel Davis, who has over 30 years of experience in food manufacturing and distribution across several different firms, including a Liverpool-based frozen food supplier King Parrot Frozen Food and Oops Frozen Food Supermarket in St Helens. Explaining his motivation behind launching the new range, Davis said, "During a discussion in which my family were championing air fryers and how many times a week they use them, it suddenly came to me that we have the perfect products, the development and distribution network, and the contacts to launch a range of air fryer ready meals. The new range fills a gap in the market for those seeking quick, tasty and affordable meals without compromising on quality. It's been designed to help those who are time poor and want something that won't blow their calorie count, but is a quick, tasty and cheap option for an evening meal or breakfast. With the rising popularity of air fryers, we're thrilled to offer Brits a convenient solution for their culinary cravings." Remedy Kombucha has secured its first listing with supermarket chain Asda, The retailer is now stocking 4 times 330ml packs of wild berry and raspberry lemonade Remedy kombucha in stores nationwide and online. The news means that Remedy kombucha is now stocked by Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrisons, Asda and Waitrose in the UK. Meanwhile, Sainsbury's has become the first UK retailer to 1 litre bottles of the beverage manufacturer's kombucha with raspberry lemonade and ginger lemon flavours now available. Sainsbury's, which already stocks wild berry and orange squash multi-packs, is also adding 4 times 330ml packs of the new Remedy Energy range in Tropical Twist and Berry Blast flavours. According to data from AC Nielsen published in January 2024, Remedy kombucha has achieved 77% growth year on year and leads the UK kombucha market, which is worth £23.8 million. In addition, new statistics from Tesco show that kombucha sales have increased by 65% in the past 2 years. With the recent addition of our Asda partnership, we're thrilled that Remedy has become the first kombucha brand to feature in all 5 of the UK's major supermarkets, commented Ian Hadley, Commercial Director at Remedy Drinks UK. The demand for functional drinks and a shift in consumer attitudes towards healthier drinks has never been stronger. Our products offer an unrivaled taste with no sugar and with gut health benefits. This continues to see us go from strength to strength and ultimately confirms our position as the signpost kombucha brand in the UK. Researchers at Aberystwyth University are currently engaged in a study looking at the health benefits of kombucha fermented tea, which could include improvements to both physical and mental well-being. The Better Kombucha project is being funded by Innovate UK and has brought together researchers from Aberystwyth University's Department of Psychology, Department of Life Sciences and Business School, who will also work with industry partners. Fuse Diagnostics has announced that it has completed an oversubscribed seed investment round. The firm, which is working on the development of diagnostic testing products designed to deliver better performance of laboratory-based instruments, raised £1.6 million from a syndicate of angel investors and innovation agency Innovate UK. The funding will significantly boost Fuse's ability to develop rapid, low-cost point-of-need tests that will have applications across numerous sectors, most notably food and drink. The products aim to address testing needs where eliminating pathogen contamination is crucial, as well as providing accurate point-of-need testing. Currently, Fuse is developing 2 diagnostic testing platforms. Products in the Flip range will be targeted at industrial food and water testing, as well as the bioprocessing industry and cell biology research, to test for mycoplasma contamination of mammalian cell culture, for example. Meanwhile, the Apex range is aimed at more advanced industrial testing, together with veterinary applications and clinical diagnosis, such as tests for respiratory or sexually transmitted infections. Reacting to the successful funding round, Fuse CEO Dr. Harry Lambour said, "We are bringing gold standard laboratory performance into smaller, low-cost disposable tests that anyone can use, with results in under 10 minutes, thanks to our proprietary ultra-rapid amplification chemistries. The simple product format enables users to test on demand in any location. All they have to do is apply the sample and wait for the clear visual result." Fuse was created by the founders of Sense Biodetection, Harry and Ralph Lambour, who developed the world's first rapid instrument-free molecular diagnostic test during the COVID pandemic. Following the acquisition of Sense by Charlotte Biosciences in 2023, the brothers decided to apply their experience of clinical product development and commercialization to address the widespread demand for rapid on-site pathogen testing across industry. Dorset-based A-Arch Brewing Company has expanded its production capabilities with the lease of additional space and a 6-figure investment in new equipment. The brewer has signed a 10-year lease of a 534-metre squared warehouse advised by Vale Williams, which has been transformed into a production centre and tap room. A-Arch Brewing Company relocated the business from a smaller nearby premises. Founder and Managing Director Steve Farrell said this signing of the 10-year lease on our new premises underlines our long-term commitment to Wimborne. This is our 3rd brewery in Stone Lane during the 10 years of A-Arch, with each move prompted by growing demand for our products and because of the popularity of our tap room. The founding of A-Arch represented the first time in 80 years that an independent brewery had made and sold beer in the town. We've had an incredibly warm welcome from the local community since moving in, and look forward to striking up more supplier partnerships with pubs, clubs and restaurants which champion buy local and are also looking to reduce transport emissions and costs. Founded by Farrell in 2015, A-Arch Brewing produces a range of beers it sells primarily in and around the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole areas and currently employs 5 people. The detached two-storey building with a mezzanine floor and previously occupied by Emporium Toad Hall is owned through the commercial property arm of property developer Harry J. Palmer. Bryony Thompson, a Vale Williams associate working out of the consultancy's Bournemouth office, added the vacant warehouse at Stone Lane Industrial Estate serves as the ideal expansion location for a Arch Brewing Company. Steve and his team have worked tirelessly to create bigger and better premise for their national award-winning beers and tap room, are setting themselves up to be the gold standard in environmental friendly farming after research revealed that the deterioration of the UK's natural environment could lead to an estimated 12% loss to GDP. This comes as part of a wider partnership between retailer Ocado and the Soil Association to drive positive changes in the way we eat, farm and care for our natural world. The 5 farms in the programme each focus on a different area of farming, from dairy cows, beef and sheep to orchard, fruit and potatoes, and will host training sessions for other farmers, sharing technical expertise and support on a range of nature-friendly agricultural practices. The training sessions will include agroforestry, which combines trees with livestock and crops to provide shade and protection from floods and droughts, restoring hedgerows to encourage natural predators and reduce the need for harmful pesticides, using diverse crop rotations to boost soil health and restore nitrogen naturally as an alternative to fossil fuel-derived artificial fertilizers. 3 of the 5 farms involved in the programme supply Ocado, which has been advocating for small UK producers for some time, including through its Best of British Isle. This online aisle more than 800 UK farmed products and is endorsed by both DEFRA and the NFU. Supporting local farmers and promoting homegrown produce is something we care deeply about at Ocado. Earlier this year, we launched a Best of British Isle on site to make it easier for our customers to shop for food that's farmed and produced in the UK, said Hannah Gibson, Ocado Retail CEO. Our new partnership with the Soil Association reinforces our commitment, and by working with farmers who are pioneering agroecological farming practices, we're increasing the quality, freshness and sustainability of the food we're able to offer our customers. Helen Browning, Soil Association CEO, added, "Nature is under threat in the UK, and with 70% of land under farming, we believe farmers need support to shift away from the most damaging practices of intensive farming and to restore biodiversity and mitigate the worst risks of climate change." Ocado Retail has always championed small producers, and we are excited to be working together with such a young and innovative company which shares our commitment to nature-friendly food and farming. Its support will act as a catalyst for change, allowing us to deliver a programme that champions and supports fixing our broken food and farming system. The partnership between the retailer and association is also set to support research to help advance farm animal welfare. To this end, the duo will be working with farmers to support best practice and to demonstrate the benefits of giving farmed animals a good life. They will also build a Farm to Fork Ambassadors program together, which will look to give voice to those providing healthy and sustainable food, encouraging them to share their stories with others in the industry. On the day of the Farm to Fork Summit, the dairy giant has said it will be injecting money into 4 of its sites across the UK in addition to its previously announced plans for its Tor Valley site. The money will be used to update and expand Arla's food dairies and creameries at Lockerbie, Staunton, Aylesbury and Westbury, as it looks to create more opportunities for British milk and cheese production. Alongside the £179 million investment into Tor Valley announced in March, which will see the business capitalising on the potential for exporting its mozzarella, this brings Arla's total UK investment for 2024 to more than £300 million. At Arla's site in Staunton, the updates will expand Arla's capabilities in extended shelf life ESL milk, particularly the Cravendale and B.O.B. brands, as well as plans to introduce capability to supply milk in cardboard cartons. As a result of the £65 million investment, Arla says the site will produce enough additional milk to fill the equivalent of 560 million bowls of cereal. Lockerbie will see the next big slice of the investment pie, with £34 million promised to fund new technology, gearing the site up for expansion and growth. Westbury will see a £15 million upgrade to the effluent treatment plant and powder dryer improvements as the business explores export opportunities. Finally, the Aylesbury facility, which is the UK's biggest fresh milk site, producing more than 1 million bottles of milk daily, will get additional automated box packing capabilities, with £8 million to give further packaging format flexibility. Bass, managing director of Arla Foods UK, said the investments represent the cooperative's move to strengthen its investment into UK food security. Dairy plays a significant role in the UK economy, with sales of dairy products exceeding £8 billion. On the day of the Farm to Fork Summit, we are delighted to set out plans for continued vital investment in our business worth tens of millions of pounds, ensuring the UK remains at the forefront of food production and keeping the nation's favourite dairy products on our supermarket shelves. We must also ensure we have a robust food supply chain for the UK market, and this starts with ensuring we can continue to return a fair price back to our farmer owners. As one of the biggest food companies in the UK, it is only natural that we look for further opportunities to grow, which includes strengthening our export opportunity. Matt Taylor, partner at Eversheds Sutherland, and Nikki Hussey, senior associate at the firm, look at how the Panama Canal drought has caused disruption to UK food and drink producers and the benefits to testing your legal position. Most businesses are probably fed up with supply chain challenges over recent years, whether relating to the semiconductor shortage, the implementation of Brexit, or the COVID-19 pandemic. However, in the last 12 months, there have been another obstacle for businesses to handle: the worst drought in 70 years affecting in the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is a vital waterway connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Approximately 5% of global maritime trade relies on the narrow passage, with cargo ships carrying goods between Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Due to a combination of factors from a decrease in rainwater, 41% less rainfall than normal, the El Nino effect, and the fact that the last year was the driest in history, the Panama Canal has been in a state of significant drought since 2023. The drought has delayed and disrupted supply chains affecting industries worldwide, with a particular impact on food and other consumer items being felt by UK food manufacturers. At times, the canal operators have restricted access to the canal and significantly reduced daily transits from 36 ships to 24 a day, causing ships to queue up before they can even be granted passage. How the drought has impacted UK producers. 1. Loss of perishable goods. Perishable goods from Peru and other South American countries, including fruit worth £18 million, have been delayed or reduced due to canal restrictions. 2. Export delays. British businesses exporting goods from the US West Coast are encountering delays and increased costs. Such delays are having their greatest impact on UK food manufacturers, relying on timely imports for production. 3. Reduction in available grain crops. The drought has impacted grain crops between the United States and Asia, which has in turn disrupted supply chains to the UK food manufacturing market. In addition, these delays have also caused an astonishing rise in the cost of goods exported into the UK, such as Chilean wine at $206 million or £164 million, fruit and vegetables at $400 million or £318.6 million, coffee and tea at $44.5 million or £34.4 million, Ecuadorian processed fish at $111 million or £88.4 million, crustaceans at $71.2 million or £57.4 million, and bananas at $44.8 million or £35.7 million. In addition to the day-to-day disruption to UK food manufacturing businesses, in due course, such issues may well give rise to difficult legal questions and potential future disputes. A key question businesses should be asking themselves at this stage is, when does the risk in their goods pass to them or from them? In other words, businesses should be testing when they become responsible for the consequences of any limb of the supply chain failing down due to shipping delays. For many businesses at the bottom end of the supply chain, this can often be much earlier than they might immediately think. It is also likely that the question of force majeure will need to be considered. Force majeure covers unforeseeable events beyond a party's control that prevent them from fulfilling their contractual obligations. In many instances, drought conditions may well satisfy the test for force majeure and therefore could enable parties to temporarily relieve themselves of their contractual obligations. However, whilst such temporary relief may be immediately welcomed, parties must tread carefully before seeking to rely on these rights. For example, most English law contracts contain carefully defined force majeure events, which means that individual contracts need to be checked to ensure that they include drought conditions in the Panama Canal. Similarly, many contracts require force majeure to be declared promptly and in accordance with specific notice provisions which, if not complied with, can see a party lose any rights that it might otherwise have. Finally, some force majeure provisions can give the counterparty a potential right to terminate the entire contract if the underlying conditions continue for a prolonged period. Given this, whilst there are options that may be open to businesses to buy short-term relief from difficult trading conditions and supply chain issues, they may come at a price in the long term. It would therefore be sensible for businesses to be testing their legal position now in order to determine how they can protect their business interests and the full consequences of exercising their existing contractual rights. This will ensure that any decisions which are taken are fully and properly considered, and short-term decisions which might have more damaging long-term consequences avoided. Tate & Lyle, the ingredients company, celebrated the expansion of its dietary fibre line at the facility in Boleraz with the British ambassador to Slovakia, Nigel Baker, and Tate & Lyle chair David Hearn among the guests. The €25 million investment has been used to expand Tate & Lyle's capacity at the Slovakian site for its non-GMO promoter, soluble fibres. This is corn-based soluble fibre, which is said to possess twice the digestive tolerance of inulin, reducing the possibility of digestive discomfort. Moreover, its high fibre content means it can be used at lower inclusion levels whilst still reaching nutritional targets. This is the first phase of a wider program which Tate & Lyle expects will significantly increase its fibre capacity to serve both its European and global customer base. Speaking on the investment, Igor Kovac, Tate & Lyle's plant manager at the Boleraz facility, said that the expansion will not only give the organisation the ability to expand existing promoter product lines, but also allow for the seamless introduction of new ones into the future. The new lines come at a time when demand for dietary fibres is on the rise, as gut health, immunity and mental health are top of mind. In fact, Tate & Lyle research found that as many as 54% of global consumers plan to consume more fibre. At the same time, the company reports that customer demand for sugar reduction solutions is continuing to grow, with fibre playing an increasingly important role as a value-added, nutritious bulking ingredient. Abigail Storms, Tate & Lyle's SVP, Fibre and Sweetener Platform, added, "Our customer appreciate Tate & Lyle has an industry-leading soluble fibre production network with capacity in 3 continents. The addition of this new capacity at this production facility means we can offer customers even greater security of fibre supply at greater speed, supporting consumer demand for more accessible fibre-enhanced nutrition." Liverpool-based Turncoat Gin Distillery has launched reusable aluminium bottles for its core range of products as part of its continuing mission to become more sustainable. The new reusable aluminium packaging is 84% lighter than the glass alternative and will still save 0.4 kilograms of CO2 emissions per bottle. Speaking at the launch of the new bottles, head of distillery Edward Riding said, "As a company deeply rooted in the vibrant city of Liverpool, we recognise the importance of sustainability and are committed to minimising our environmental impact." Aluminium bottles also offer a range of benefits from our stockists, including reduction in breakages and improved product lifespan. This is the first of many changes here at the distillery as we work towards becoming carbon neutral. While aluminium bottles have a slightly higher carbon footprint from manufacturing than glass, Turncoat said that this was outweighed by their lifespan and weight saving. Transporting heavier glass bottles can result in greater levels of greenhouse gas emissions. We believe that sustainability should be at the heart of everything we do. Our decision to launch reusable aluminium bottles reflects our dedication to creating a positive impact on the environment. We hope that our partners in the license on trade can work with us to recycle, reuse and reduce their carbon footprints. The shift towards aluminium bottles comes as the distillery relocates its production facility to Love Lane Brewery, in a move aimed at expanding production capacity and enhancing operational efficiencies. Gary Manning, new managing director of Love Lane Brewery, said, "We are delighted to welcome Turncoat Gin to Love Lane Brewery. Their commitment to craftsmanship and innovation aligns perfectly with our own values, and we're excited to work together to create a wonderful experience for all guests here at Love Lane Brewery."